We are plausibly live, somewhat local, and damn near late breaking, boys and girls. No, I'm not at the Go-Go in D.C. As a matter of fact, I'm in Charm City, Baltimore, Maryland, that is. It is the Food Lion CIAA Basketball Tournament, the oldest HBCU basketball tournament in America, and arguably the best Division II tournament of them all. I've been in many events, but when you come to the CIAA tournament, it's really like a family affair, and that's what's going on here inside the CFG Bank Arena here in Baltimore. Now, we tipped off the season at the Blake Bozeman Classic in the nation's capital, and the cool thing about being here in Baltimore is that, well, all I have to do is roll out of the bed, and we don't have to travel. And my good friend, whose hands I will be in on Saturday for the semifinals, well, semifinals on Friday, finals on Saturday, and through the rest of the week, he'll be trying to get him some crab cakes. He's been sweating me for that. My guy, Jay Bell, pride of Shaw University. And if there's anybody here inside the building that can really speak to the tradition of the CIAA, it's you. Shaw has an extremely important place in this in this atmosphere.
One of the founding members of the CIAA, as a matter of fact.
So when you get right down to it, Jay, what is this tournament? I mean, for those of us who've been a part of it for many, many years, we're coming up on 20 right now.
Oh, man. Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Well, the CIAA is just the tradition. As the commissioner always says, living the legacy, because we still talk about yesteryear, but we're trying to build a legacy for these next set of young kids, young students, and give them the opportunity that we had, opening doors for them. So to me, just to see the pride and the energy of watching these young people play, and to watch the broadcasters means
the
a
new
lot.
young, and this is like for those of us who are OGs in the game, and of course we welcome you as always to OG Sports Rap on Sports Rap the Network and on Substack. And as we continue to move, and we'll come back with a little bit more from Jay because it's pretty busy up here on Radio Row. We've got a whole crew, literally. It's kind of like when you come up to Radio Row at the CIAA tournament, there's so many radio people here. It's like being at the Olympics. You got a whole bunch of different voices calling a game similarly, and it's just a real great event. And when you get right down to it, I think we need to just go ahead and take this opportunity because two people who had a significant impact on this conference have passed away in the last couple of weeks. And you may have remembered that we talked about my good friend Clyde Dowdy, the athletic director at Bowie State University, and to be in this arena. And the irony is so almost eerie because this is a building that Kevin Durant's construction company rebranded. And after it was rebranded, in comes the CIAA Basketball Tournament. The other interesting fact is that when you start talking about CIAA from a synergy standpoint, that same construction company by Kevin Durant also rebuilt Bowie State University's gym. So the layers of the CIAA legacy reach far beyond the basketball court. And we will talk about some of the historical significance, but we'd be remiss if not coming into this tournament, certainly on behalf of Sports Rap Radio and the folks at HSRN, we got to remember that there was a guy named Jesse Jackson who's in the CIAA Hall of Fame. Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, before he was keeping hope alive, he was winning football games as a quarterback at North Carolina A&T when the Aggies were in the CIAA. I couldn't make that history up if I tried, and I'm not going to even try. It's there. It's in the books. It's, what we're here for to chronicle throughout the course of the balance of the week and on into next week, because this is tournament action at its best, but it's also bigger than that. So throughout the course of our broadcast time here, we will, in fact, we bring you some of the players around, you know, people who have been in the conference for so long that can really speak to the cultural significance and the competition of basketball. I mean, let me tell you something. It's more than just basketball. I mean, we're going to be taking, I know Professor G is taking about 60 kids from Prince George's Community College in what amounts to be Southern Maryland, if you will, just outside D.C. We're bringing 60 kids to this event for a truly cultural experience following a career day. And one thing you can say about the HBCUs, we talked to Doug Williams about that last week, and while we were talking with Doug, one of the things that he made sure to get out there from the HBCU Legacy Classic was that they have the job fair. And here we have a career expo that's coming up. And again, when my students who will be working as journalists, and I'm as proud to have an opportunity to work with them on a project like this, something that could be a game-changing experience in their lives. So a lot going on here in Charm City. And, you know, one thing about Sports Rap Network, we by us, we for us, and we proud to do what we do. All right, and there's not anything wrong with being proud, and so we are. And we're going to bask in the glow of this weekend. Now, I've covered this tournament in Richmond, Virginia, that is. I've covered this tournament in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in a building that Wake Forest still plays in, Joel Coliseum. I've covered the tournament in Durham, Raleigh, you know, so we've been down there for that. And the game, it just grows seemingly each and every year. And the conference definitely has a different look than it did back in the day. When you stay here in Baltimore, Baltimore was one of the early homes of the tournament. The tournament actually began in D.C., but Morgan is no longer in the CIAA. But while they were in the CIAA, my alma mater, the national treasure that it is, I might say, humble brag, you know, we were one of the teams that left a lasting impression on the conference because we were so good in football under the legend that is Earl Banks. It was just an amazing thing to watch. It really, really is. So as much as it is about basketball, it's truly, like I said earlier, a cultural experience. You know, radio doesn't really do the flavor when you talk about the cheerleaders' intensity during timeouts being as fierce as the games themselves. Perhaps the even tougher competition will be the cheerleaders when they take the floor in the Baltimore Convention Center on Saturday before the championship game. This was a place last year where we got the tragic announcement of Angie Stone's passing, but it didn't take away from the intensity of the game, and it certainly didn't take away from the electricity that this conference brings to downtown Baltimore. I mean, this building that we're in is maybe a half a mile away from Oriole Park at Camden Yards and from M&T Bank Stadium where the Ravens play. And to be honest with you, they're doing some remodeling to the Ravens Stadium, and it was funny. I was watching the NFL Network coverage, or maybe it was the ESPN coverage. Well, they all one and the same now. They're in bed together, and that just seems like an eerie combination. But they were at the NFL Combine, and you know, everybody was talking about how the gathering was a mix for everybody. And when you talk about the Ravens, they rebuilding, and their new coach, Jesse Mentor, was on with Rich Eisen, and they were kicking in. I'm thinking to myself, wow, the Ravens themselves are under construction. My man, Chris Robinson. How you doing, bro? I'm sorry, Sean Robinson. I'm getting old in my days, man. Hey, tell me, what's it like being back at the tournament? I mean, we're OGs now. We grew as professionals watching this conference grow in the tournament where it is. So I've been yakking to my audience about how special it is. You've been around just about as long as I have. So how special is it every time we get together to CIAA family?
It's always special. You get to see guys like yourself, guys that have been in this business, that have followed this conference from, you can go back from Greensboro to D.C. I started covering it when it was in Winston, to Raleigh, to Charlotte, and now here to Baltimore. It continues to grow. You wanted to see it continue more, get more people to come here, especially for these early games. We had some great action so far. But just the family environment, seeing people you hadn't seen in a while, but then you meet them and see them again. It's like you saw them yesterday or the week before. So it's always great to come back. I love to come back. I wish I could do it every single year, but to, just to see it continue to elevate is always a beautiful thing.
And a lot of people won't be able to get here, but can watch it on national TV. When we were coming along, we didn't have that option. So talk about how you see the growth of the conference, the explosion of the tournament, because of the media partnerships that they have right now.
Yeah, the advent of first ESPN Plus going live stream to have all of the tournament games on the ESPN family of networks. Also with the HBCU Go people doing a great job of having us on that national platform during the regular season. It's great because black college football, black college basketball, it's a great thing. You see a lot of great talent go to the next level, to the highest level, playing in schools like Union, Johnson C. Smith that's playing right now, my alma mater, Virginia State. It's great. We like to hopefully have more platforms to put us out there, but to have ESPN Plus, ESPN, and also HBCU Go, that's a great start, and hopefully it continues.
All right, we've lost two real icons in the conference in the past week. Still trying to digest Clyde Dowdy's passing, but then there's the Reverend Jesse Jackson. If you could share your thoughts on the impact those two gentlemen had on this league.
They had a tremendous impact. I had a chance to meet Clyde at a VSU Hall of Fame induction ceremony where we inducted Greg Goings into our Hall of Fame, and he actually was the speaker for Greg. So we kind of joked around and chatted a little bit, but he did so much for the CIAA when he was the AD at Bowie State. And, of course, Reverend Jesse Jackson, what more can be said about him? I had a chance to see him at Virginia State when he came there. He just brought a light to anything he did. And just the way he spoke, the messages he provided, it was amazing to see him in person do that, and just how he was able to grab everybody's attention. When he walked into a room, they knew who he was, what he was able to bring, and it was
It's a once in a lifetime, and people don't know he's a CIAA Sports Hall of Famer too. Great guy. Hey, always a pleasure to see you, my brother. Hey, we got more of what you came here for on the other side. Plausibly live, somewhat local, and damn near late breaking. It's OG Sports Rap on the network. Remember, download the mobile app and follow me, Professor G, at Sports Rap OG on Substack. We all we got. That's right, we are live, plausibly, definitely local, and damn sure late breaking. This is at the Food Line CIAA Basketball Tournament. It is your boy, Professor G. Mark Gray. Thanks for hanging out with me as we record this quality radio product, at least this segment of it anyway. We're in the throes of a heated basketball match. We did this earlier in the season when we saw Virginia State knock off Delaware State in the classic proverbial Division II over Division I HBCU upset earlier this season. And as you can see, it's heating up. Now, I will tell you this. with a great deal of pride. The best part, in many cases, of the games is the break between the action. So you're going to hear some funky band stuff behind me. And, of course, a lot of people say I say funky stuff coming out of my mouth. So you probably be better off and more entertained by listening to the bands. But I digress. It's interesting to know right now that the game I'm watching is involving a dude, and we're going to have a horn here in a second because this game is about to move into the fourth quarter. Wow, that was a great take to the hoop, too. Anyway, I'm watching Stephen A. Smith's alma mater, Winston-Salem State, and ironically enough, I happened to be on the way home, on the way to the arena here, and I was listening to my Sirius XM radio, literally, and I was listening to some of the defense that this dude was making for the USA men's hockey team going up to visit, the State of the Union last night, which I gotta admit, that had to be the most long-winded, bloviated sack of verbal excrement that I have seen in my lifetime. But we're not even going to go down that road. I mean, you look at all these dudes come in, and I will say this. Big ups to the 5 USA hockey players who had better things to do to be a part of political propaganda after winning a gold medal. I mean, the Olympics are supposed to be about the glorious sport and honor a country. The whole I don't even know what you call it last night. I mean, because it was one of the most choreographed pieces of lying with a coordinated influence that I've ever seen before. But, and some people are frauds. And I say that because if you're a girl dad, you got to feel some type of way, like I do, when the president makes a disparaging remark about women's hockey players. I mean, just the fact that he would go there, right, and put it out there that if he didn't invite them, that, he might be impeached, trivialized the whole circumstance. And for somebody like that, who went to a CIAA school like Winston-Salem State and allegedly played for Big House Games, I got to be honest with you. Somewhere my brother Big House, the fine, upstanding Morgan State graduate that he was, he got to be turning over in his grave, man. I mean, come on, dude. It's one thing to be a patriot, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you got to be a patriot, but you damn sure shouldn't be a misogynist, okay? Somewhere in the middle, you have got to draw the line to stand for something. And I'm just wondering what this dude stands for. Is he just standing for making headlines? Is this guy standing for playing to the right, for really making a run at the presidency? And let's be clear for a second. After we've seen his takes, his nuanced version of an Oreo, and that's what it's become. How do you take a guy serious? Where's your credibility? Where's your emphasis on, telling stories, or at least causing the kind of conversation that brings people together as opposed to pulling them apart? Because there's nothing that, stealing Cash Patel and the president can do to show that they're patriotic by, condoning the behavior of a man who himself has a daughter, allegedly. I mean, think about that. And you have to wonder, when you come out your mouth with stuff like that, and you are a father, of which the commander in chief certainly is of a woman, okay? Why must you treat women with such disrespect? That really says something about that place behind the zipper on the front of your pants being very small. I just want to put that out there as a visual, and you do with that in your mind what you think is right. But it's just interesting, all the great things that women are doing. This administration seems to, really, they've littered the administration with a bunch of incompetent ladies, and then you got those who just amplify the message. It's like a bunch of Betty Crockers and June Cleavers from back in the day, if you know where I'm coming from. And nobody's there to chastise him, ridicule him, put him in his place. Are we punking out right now so we can't protect our women? We're just going to serve them up to the next pedophile that wants to come around, condoning behavior like that? Wow, that's a shameless disgrace. It really is. And I don't mean to be beating up on anybody because I vehemently disagree with the way they handle their stick. But if it looks like, excrement and it sounds like excrement, chances are it is excrement. And for those of you who need to know what that is, it's too big a SAT word. That's the stuff that comes out when you take a number 2 dump. Just sounds a lot better by referring to it as excrement, but you and I both know what it is. Anyway, want to talk a little bit about the Pistons right now, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to prepare you for the harsh realities of a pending run in the NBA playoffs. And when you get right down to it, all right, this is a team that's still a work in progress from a maturity standpoint. And I think they're going to have to go through some moments at this time to make them better in the future. Now, a first-round victory when you have the best record in the NBA for a great portion of the season would be an incredible disappointment. But this team is learning. Now, again, you'll have 2 playoff years in a row, back-to-back, and they've got the parts around a real superstar. But this notion of, and I'm beginning to sense that a lot of people are going to look at the Pistons as something other than for real if they lose in the first or second round. And I'm like, wait a minute, when your best player is, still wet behind his ears with Similac on his breath and figuring out how to lead, you might want to pipe down the rhetoric. But then again, it's being amplified by people right now. Some of the stuff, the scrutiny of players, I know that they're making a great deal of money right now, and people want to hold them accountable for the ability to come in and immediately produce. Well, quite frankly, that is what Cade has done. And that organization too. So I just want to prepare you for the possibility of growth pains through the postseason. Okay? There are a lot of people who seem to think you're supposed to catch fire just like that when you have a young, talented team who makes a run. It doesn't normally handle like that. So just be mindful of the level of expectation to make it easier so that you aren't disappointed. One man's opinion. What say you? Don't forget, you can follow me, and I will be back to Substacking. All right, so I'll Substack definitely after the finals, and I'm efforting right now to try and get Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott to come spend some time with us. And if we don't get him in tonight, we'll definitely have him with our full comprehensive recap of our CIAA experience here. It's the first time Sports Rap has broadcasted from the CIAA tournament. We did take you on the road. We were in Vegas working out the kinks with the Grambling and Jackson State game. we had him figured out by the Bayou Classic, which was really cool until the guys decided he wanted to be upset at me because Marshall Faulk is now the head coach at Southern University and doing more with his name and his brand than the average coach would be able to do down there with, virtually no time hitting the ground running in his first season. I mean, because there's a lot to be navigating through the portal. Kids who qualify for compensation, how you going to get them paid. But they do seem to have that buzz where the ears are open and it's perked up a little bit. And make no mistake about it, if Marshall Faulk is able to put together the right kind of staff, a staff similar to what Deshaun Jackson had at Delaware State, Southern can turn things around quickly. I bring that up because the SWAC has its basketball tournament coming up next week. We'll go inside the HBCU Division I tournaments. I did want to talk about a big game coming up here. And in the interest of full disclosure, were I not calling the CIAA championship game, I would be at my alma mater, which is about 25 minutes away from here to the northeast. They play Howard University. Morgan Howard is always a great matchup in HBCU basketball. Both of them former CIAA teams, but in the MEAC, you look at a Morgan team, man, they got great guards. One of my guys, Jimmy Fly, will come up on the other side, and we will talk him. We'll break down the MEAC. He also was on the HBCU call, the HBCU go call of that Virginia State versus Delaware State matchup. And I'm be honest with you right now, if you catch us here on Sports Rap, the network on Saturday, I'm expecting Virginia State to be playing for the CIAA championship on the men's side. And they probably have one of the best coaches in America that nobody knows of, only because he's at a Division II school that's had some success at the national level. But you know how things change, and we're not going to make a political conversation, but we all remember the days that they're trying to take it back to, and it's just ridiculous like that. And I think that right now has, with this we're a nation right now that's caught up in too many isms. You know, you've got sexism. If you don't buy into what the lies of 47 and his sycophants are saying, you're not practicing patriotism. I'm tired of the isms. You know, I really am. But that is where we are now, and this is how we're going to make it through. And remember, we all we got. We continue, plausibly live, somewhat local, and damn near late breaking from the CIAA tournament in Baltimore. It's the oldest HBCU tournament in America and the largest in Division II. We got more what you came here for on the other side. I even got a little go-go too as we go to break. Download the mobile app. We all we got. As we continue from the CIAA, the Food Lion CIAA Basketball Tournament, it is your boy, Professor G. Mark Gray. Thanks for hanging out with us on OG Sports Rap here on Sports Rap Network and Substack. Now, we're going to take a pause for the cause. I will not be with you in talk radio format for the rest of the week. So I will be keeping my opinions to myself. Well, no, I won't. If it really gets out of order, I'll take the social media and we'll do what we do. That is the beauty of the Substack theme. Don't forget, I'll be posting on Substack from here with recaps of the games that I call starting on tomorrow night. So if you're in the East Coast time zone and you are normally used to picking me up at this time, you're going to hear HBCU basketball. Okay? Now, I'll be back, and hopefully you'll enjoy that coverage as much as you enjoy the conversations that I have with you from the barbershop. So we're closing the barbershop to head to the proverbial virtual gym, CFG Bank Arena here in Baltimore. I want to get into a couple of tidbits before, we get out of here. The damn NFL just doesn't get it. I mean, really, enough is really enough. Now, the NFL has announced that both the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Washington Commanders will host games in London during the 2026 season. Now, if you're a fan of the burgundy and gold and, you have your quarterback who was out most of the season last year, you don't have to go all the way over to the other side of the pond in order to watch him play. I mean, this is the one you want everybody to stay home. And I mean, damn, what's up with these European games? And I'm going to say this because the European people don't necessarily keep their turf or treat it in a way that's conducive to American football. It's a lot slicker. People end up falling, tweaking knees. See, that, it's one thing to want to, imperialize political things, but you're dealing with human bodies and big people and guys who are used to equipment, working in certain environments. It's, to me, this flip of the coin with the facilities in the NFL versus those in, the world of football being played by people who don't necessarily tackle other ones, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, really, this whole novelty of all these games, and if you're a fan, all right, so I'm going to speak as a freaking East Coast fan, right? All right, and God bless you people on the West Coast. They're just saying the hell with you with these games. I mean, when you go to Europe, right, you're talking about at least 8 to 10 hours in difference of time. Just ponder that for a second, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all religions. So when the Commanders and the Jaguars, host their games in London, the folks in LA, San Francisco, Vegas, all NFL cities are going to sleep right through it. Now, they say the international expansion is supposed to be the greatest thing in the world because people with different accents will buy jerseys. That's what this is about. Do we really need more games being exported? Really, if you're a season ticket holder and you pay for your 8 games in one season in your building, and then you'll have a 9th game the next season, you want to be able to see your team as much as possible up close and personal without having to travel a country mile and then some. Makes no sense. Make no sense to me. Enough is enough. Now, and then we have the competition committee right now, boys and girls. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what some of the people are rumored to be wanting to radically tweak some rules. And let's be clear about something here. There's one I agree with for sure. I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody kicks a field goal from the 50-yard line, that's a 60-yard kick. That means you're kicking more than half the length of the field to earn 3 points. If you're kicking from half the length of the field, you should earn that extra point. That is a great, great law. Okay? Let's be real about that, all right? The only good that doesn't come from awarding that point, to me, it cheapens the ones from their end. All right? It does. And this guy, Brandon Obrey, who's a Dallas Cowboys kicker, I got to be honest with you. He's asking for like $10 million a year, and he is damn near automatic from midfield. And when you got a weapon like that in games that are now, the league is built for parity and close games, okay? And you have to win when there are no dynasties. And in order to win, you're going to have a card in your back pocket. And as it stands right now, the wildest card in anybody's back pocket is Brandon Obrey from the Cowboys. I mean, he is just ridiculous. I don't think I've seen a better kicker in the league not named Justin Tucker until he decided that he wanted to get freaky-diggy with the masseuse. Note to NFL player, you do not get freaky-diggy with the masseuse. She'll out you in more ways than one. I'm telling you, man, the masseuses, I mean, they got me scared to want one. Seriously. I had to go out and find like one of those back chair things that will give you the mechanical massage because, every time I look up, somebody's getting in trouble with what? A freaking masseuse. Okay? I mean, and the way I get it, sometimes there are involuntary functions with your body that may give you a different kind of sensation, which may be offensive to some, I don't think anybody's doing that intentionally. I know I wouldn't, but that's a hell of a way to get popped, isn't it? But back to the matter at hand. They're also, and let's be clear about it, that fourth point is a real thing. Games are played so close to the vest, and if you got a weapon, I think it's a great strategy. There's another thing that people are talking about these days. I don't think the onside kick. All right, let's be clear for a second. The tweaking of the onside kick. My question would be why? Really? Because here's a different kind of thing altogether. That is a great piece of strategy on a variety of different levels. I mean, if you start taking away things such as the onside kick, when there's desperate measures and trying to keep people close or engaged with blowout games, you may lose them. I mean, just think about it. Don't mess with one of the more exciting plays in football. Not like what the NFL did when they started not rewarding kickers for touchbacks. I like that. Because all you had to do was just show up and boom the ball and call it a day. And that, to me, that was kind of a cheap play. Nothing happened. The touchback. I'm glad you got rid of it. That is a great move. But, when you start talking about the onside kick and taking it out of the game, you have lost your damn mind. That's when you know that instead of putting, passing, and kicking, there must be some puffing and passing and puffing in the competition committee room, and they must have been doing it in one of those great ports of call like Denver or Seattle. I mean, you got to be buzzed to come up with something like that. And there was, and there will always be a place for the onside kick strategically. I mean, practically to keep your team in the game and to give you that one last chance to collect the possession. And with replay and all that kind of nonsense in the way, because we all know officials no longer officiate the game. They officiate to the eye in the sky. That's it. And the onside kick is one of those things that, when executed properly, leaves no doubt. And I'm just wondering, who are these people on the competition committees? I mean, really? Again, some stuff works, some sounds crazy. And quite frankly, doing away with the onside kick is crazy. You don't do it that much. You know, it's kind of like the jokers in the card deck. You only play with them for certain games. You know what I'm saying? Spades, bid with, stuff like that. For the most part, they innocent bystanders. To me, that's the onside kick. There when you need them, come through in the clutch, it's a big play. If it doesn't work, oops, my bad. And oh yeah, can we figure out, all right, first off, the tush push is just an unstoppable, when executed right play. And I'm getting a little sick and tired of defensive coordinators who can't figure out a way to stop the damn tush push. Okay? That's what you paid for. You know? It was like, you got to figure out how to stop people. Okay? So this is where I'm at. Right here, right now. Forget the nonsense of, you know, giving folks the benefit of the doubt because they can't. It's like the kid that has to get a trophy after the season when he cost a whole bunch of teams their games, or he was just a hole in the team. Let's be real for a second. Some people just ain't that good. You know, it happens. You know, sometimes you're not good enough to get the job. Somebody beats you. That don't mean you can't go out fighting to get another job. No, it's an illegal play because they got an advantage. Figure it out. This is your job. This is your livelihood. This is what you work to do. You're supposed to be an innovator, right? You're supposed to be that person that figures out ways to contain some of the greatest players on the planet. If you cannot, you will get beat and you will lose your job, okay? I am for anything that adds offense and excitement. And you'd have to say that the tush push and the onside kick still bring a certain level of excitement to the game. So you can talk all you want about what never works, but the potential that it could is always there. And everybody wants certainty right now. It's suspense of what may come next is the reason that we tune in. At least that's the way I see it. What say you? Hit me up at The Sports Groove on social media. Leave me a reply at Sports Rap OG on Substack. It is Professor G and OG Sports Rap on Sports Rap Network. Download the mobile app because we all we got. See, you don't get this kind of flavor at the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC. This is the flavor of the CIAA. And you know, what you're being denied access of right now is I'm looking at the scoreboard with the film, and you're seeing all the beautiful cheerleaders dance, and it is such a great atmosphere here inside the CFG Bank Arena for the oldest HBCU basketball tournament. the largest Division II college basketball tournament. That's right, I said the largest, even larger than their Final Four. And we are bringing it to you plausibly live, somewhat local, and definitely late breaking here. I'm Professor G. Mark Gray. Thanks for hanging out with us as we continue with the special edition of OG Sports Wrap here on the network. It's the second time, well, actually the third time we've kind of been on the road. Second time we've done it in a basketball environment, and this is truly a great basketball environment. And, you know, Black history is winding down, but one thing you can say about Black history on the East Coast in terms of February, it is CIAA time. So Baltimore, great place. You got a stone's throw walk to the harbor. You can get your crab cake eat on around here. There is a specialty, all right, you know, and I guess we'll try to find some Baltimore people during the course of the weekend and post on social media where you get the best chicken box. Because the chicken box is a thing here in Baltimore. Make no mistake about it. You can walk around the building and talk to 25 different people, and they all got their own spot where they go get the chicken box. Chicken box is nothing more than really good seasoned chicken wings fried. Big old stuff. And then you put them in a box with French fries, and then you dress up everything. I used to be the guy that was you know, how do you want your chicken box? It would be like salt, pepper, ketchup, hot sauce. Hands would be a mess. If you had to walk back from the spot like I used to, literally, up our Pimlico racetrack, get your chicken box, and all kinds of dogs and cats and other elements want to sniff you around. Just can't get rid of them. Really, it's kind of like some Pied Piper or Dick Whittington and his cats type of stuff, if you ask me. But we continue to move it along, and thank you so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget, I've got the games themselves starting tomorrow in this time spot. So don't be shocked when you tune in and you hear me in another role, but I'm going to take you home to the CIAA tournament for somewhere near the 20th year. I don't know how we factor in the year of COVID when it was virtual and there was no tournament per se, but 19, 20 years and counting, it just isn't February to me without this glorious HBCU event. It is what it is. You know, I remember being in Charlotte the year that Michelle Obama shut it down. We all paid the price that night too because, you know, we ended up holding it back. She said she wanted to come through and see what the CIAA was all about. Took an extra hour or so, but we made it through. We did make it through. It was such a simpler time than no. I don't know. Anyway, having too much fun here in the building. One of the drawbacks, I will move it along here. One of the drawbacks that may be from playing in the Olympic tournament for hockey players is the fact, not that they got, well, those dudes acted like they liked it, but if you Team Canada, not only did you lose the gold medal, but you lose Sidney Crosby, who's now injured reserve after getting hurt at the Olympics. This is a big blow to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it's interesting to note that this is a story that breaks after Kevin Durant says he wants to rep for Team USA in 2028. There are a lot of guys that want to play in the Olympics on American soil, and I think Kevin Durant is one of them. And you know, given that he's the leading scorer in the history of the Olympic basketball program, I don't see how you can keep him off the team. But here's the dilemma, though. You got so many good young players. I mean, you know, now one thing about it is guys like Karl Anthony Towns, Gilgeous Alexander, those will be guys that will represent Canada. Canada's going to be formidable for Team USA, and they're going to be younger too, and they're going to have better legs. And by then, LeBron will have fully retired, so you don't have that guy that can take over a game at that level. What's KD going to have in 2028 to be the leader? Now, one thing about it, shooters can always shoot, and Steph Curry can still shoot, but will KD's body at that time allow him in the tournament to play as well as we've seen him in the past? And then which of the young U.S. stars becomes the man in USA basketball? And I think that now that we can look towards Los Angeles in a couple years, although a couple years these days really seems so far down the line given where we are at the climate these days. I'm just trying to think out for Team USA who are going to be the players on the men's side. And as far as the women is concerned, well, I got to be straight. If the WNBA doesn't fix their collective bargaining agreement, I don't know if USA Basketball should participate in the Olympics. Certainly on the women's side. You don't want a bunch of disgruntled women who are going into it half-hearted. Then again, there's also the flip side. You give somebody who's on a B team a chance, but that just sets your whole program up to be embarrassed like it's been in the past. So there are layers to the WNBA mess. Make no mistake about that. It is a mess. It's a collective bargaining mess. And the owners and the league itself need to stop trying to teach the players a lesson by treating them as not necessarily slaves, but definitely indentured servants. That's what they are. Hey, we put you up. You got to go out. You got to go pick the cotton. And, we'll give you enough to keep you around, but we still don't want to, we don't want you to be thought of as equals, but you can still go out there and pick the cotton. We'll even give you a little bit of it. Go make yourself something nice, but we're not going to give you all of it. And to me, it's one of those situations where people may say that they're not making any money, but you can't tell me that the owners aren't making something. And it's not the players' fault if the owners aren't making money, because you must be doing something that's not helping your off-court revenue stream, which is not the players to figure out. Because if players have figured out their off-court revenue stream, okay, and the popular highlight players are making their money in endorsement deals. And then when you have very talented ladies who get NIL money and can move their brand along, like an Angel Reese, like a Paige Beckers, like a Caitlin Clark, and when you look at coaches, Dawn Staley, she got a $25 million contract from South Carolina, pretty much a lifetime deal, but she is killing it with endorsements. So now, and look, what I'm saying is the WNBA is giving the athletes this tremendous platform, but they've earned it. Now, you can't say anything about load management and women not showing up the ball. I'm sorry. And there should be a healthy discourse, a great level of respect for the fact that these ladies who don't, when they get on the floor, act like divas. Let's be clear for a second. You see a WNBA game, you get your money's worth every single night. I can't say that's the case with the NBA. I'm sorry. And I'll give you examples like Kawhi Leonard, the master of load management. Joel Embiid, I got my money. You can kiss my backside. You know what I'm saying? I'll play when and see, we always talk about guys like Darren Peterson, the guard from Kansas, for load management and getting cramps and taking himself out the game. In many respects, this is one of those deals where what goes around comes around. Because too many times The ladies have been great stewards and have played hard through primitive, and I'm putting that mildly. I mean, there has always been a primitive approach to what women need in terms of being able to compete at the highest level with the, intangible support. The workout facilities, the better travel, all that shit collected. And up until this point, I think the women have done a really good job in their role as second citizen of pro basketball. All right? Now it's equal. And from a collective bargaining standpoint, there has to be more reasonable expectations about what these ladies deserve. And they are a product now. They have helped grow the product to a point where they deserve, I would say, a quarter of the revenue. And the owners are talking about, how they can't afford it, but business people know how to hire money. They know how to cook the books, if you will. So if you got superstars, and again, everybody's not making endorsement money. See, the sinister part about the argument that's going to resonate with the fans is the fact that here we've got these women who are asking for more money and they don't deserve it. But remember that they've been the rising tide that has saved the ship. They have created a fan base when nobody said they could. Okay, so for women, as we approach like 30 years of pro basketball, to be still treated as though they're like on college scholarship. And then and here's the crazy thing about that. What ultimately happens is the ladies create the game, they build a sport, they're asking rightfully for more of a share of the revenue that they're getting. And to me, they ought to really look at that as far as USA Basketball is concerned. Because no woman should be a pro in sports but still have to work a full-time job. That was the old stuff back in the day that you had to deal with, pro football players working in the off-season to make money after, putting themselves on the line for owners. Ultimately, that was collectively bargained out. Anyway, I'm going to let the Symphony of Song for Bowie State take us into the next break. It's your boy, Professor G, the sports OG Mark Gray. It's OG Sports Rap on the network. Remember, follow me at Substack at Sports Rap OG and download the Sports Rap Radio Network app because we all we got. Bowie State Symphony of Soul marching band rocking on with a little new edition flavor. That's some OG stuff right there. Y'all don't know nothing about that. It is OG Mark Gray. Professor G is what they call me. It's OG Sports Rap on the network and on Substack. And this is going to be the final live show of the week. Plausibly live, of course, in Baltimore. However, I will be on the air tomorrow evening, same bad time, same bad channel, except we're going to be in live event game mode. So I don't have the schedule yet. I can just tell you, when you tune in, listening for Professor G, he'll be kind of on vacation. Now, the broadcaster, Mark Gray. That dude is on blast right here on Sports Rap Network from the granddaddy of all Division II basketball tournaments. It is the CIAA tournament, the oldest HBCU basketball tournament / fashion show / cheerleader competition / career day. I mean, it's more than just the basketball, but the basketball is what brings the family together. The basketball is like the Thanksgiving turkey, You go over Nana's house, and she's either dropped it in the fryer or she's baked it for you in the whole bit, and boom, here it is. And it's really been fun to share some of the memories along with some of the other stuff that's going on in the sports world. I would be remiss, however, since by next time we're on the air on Monday, the annual NFL Combine / Underwear Olympics, and that's what it is. Dudes being poked and prodded and, dissected and analyzed, man. I mean, really, it's like it's a fix for football fan. That's what it is. And there are some desperate football people who just can't let the baton go. When there is no football, there is no reason to watch sports. And I'm not one of them, okay? I'm that dude that really does appreciate football during football season. And I follow it during the off season because you have to. But this combine thing, which has become nothing more than a social media experiment every year right now. I mean, this year, you got Radio Row at the Combine. You got Rich Eisen show doing interviews at the Combine. Maybe it's me. I can embrace Radio Row at the Super Bowl, but at the Combine? Is that really about the business of analyzing players or transacting business at the expense of the reputation of kids who seemingly, against the competition that was before them, have already proved that they were the best of the best in their class? I mean, this year you got 319 kids, and you have to pass the media interview phase first, and that's really a dangerous thing to do, because you look at how cooperative, I guess, that Shedeur Sanders was in that process last year. He ended up not getting drafted until like the last day. And every single year, you can just throw out what you think is, conclusive evidence. I don't know, something about how you performed in game as opposed to running shuttle drills. I mean, the football game is not played like it's a drill. Okay, that's just not how it works. I'm sorry. You should be judged by what is on the tape, not what you do at the Combine. And there's this dude, and I'm a U fan, so I'm very what's the term I'm looking for here? I guess parochial about disrespecting my boys from the University of Miami, that is, and people will tell you, a lot of people I've talked to, was that Ruben Bain, the defensive end from the U, now, after dominating for years in college football against the players that he goes up against, and coming in to the Combine, he was expected to be a top 5 pick because of the way that he rushed off the edge. All right? And that's where we are right now. Now, NFL teams have devalued him by saying that he has a, quote, over his shorter than ideal arm length at 31 inches. Now, here's the deal. That news comes out today, which is Wednesday, and within the next 24 hours, he'll go from a top 5 prospect to somebody who may not be in the top 25. Oh, no. His hands are too short. He was killing it in college. If he's doing it that big in college, why can't he do it in the pros? Based on some measurements. The NFL Combine is the most fraudulent livestock exhibition in the history of American sports. Make no mistake about that. It is about treating athletes like cattle and putting a grade on it. You know, when you get grade A's, then you're top shelf. That's filet. But now you're talking about because a guy has short arms, he's no longer filet. Hey, maybe that's me, but this is a bull fertilizer that we're dealing with right now here, boys and girls. And I'm overwhelmed by it. I'm overwhelmed that I know people who are going to sit around and build around those drills, you know. I know dudes that build in the Saturday afternoon to watch guys run 40 yards in a straight line. And this is with good weather outside, good golf, playing weather. I want to watch such and such run to 40 yards. It's a straight line, fool. Catch that crap on YouTube, dog. I mean, that's sincerely. It just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, we got about 300, 400 different reporters out there. Where's the scoop? Everybody gets the damn same information, don't they? I mean, I know there's a voracious appetite for football year round, but I just don't get the blowout the budget coverage for the NFL Combine. It's crazy. Now, I will say, for every Reuben Bain, there's probably one or two what they call physical freaks, like Caden Proctor, 6'7", 366 pounds. They say that he's favored to be drafted by Cincinnati, and I would say 2 words, poor him. I'd say another that it's the perfect person to replace Trey Hendrickson, and since they want to be, cheapskates and not really compete for any championship in the not too distant future, he's the perfect fit for them. So it's a hot mess to me for a player of that caliber to be potentially forced to serve the sentence that it is to play for the Bengals. That's not an NFL job. That's purgatory. Ohio State pro football is derelict. They could put the Ohio State Buckeyes into the Big Ten, right, or into the AFC North, and I guarantee you they would do better than the Browns and the Bengals collectively, even with a bunch of college kids. I feel bad for the state of Ohio, man. They got 2 pro football teams, and none of them as good as the state universities. Crazy. Speaking of the Browns, new Browns head coach Todd Monken announced an open competition at quarterback between Shedeur Sanders and potentially Deshaun Watson. Deshaun let the masseuse take me down, and you're still considering him as a starting quarterback. Sorry, Cleveland. Y'all right back to being the Cleveland that you have always been. The lovable losers, which aren't lovable. It's just that they're incompetent in their front office. They are what we think they are, and they stink. And they will continue to stink. I mean, where's Todd Monken thinking? I mean, think about that for a second. It's just absolutely craziness, isn't it? Now, I'm not in the palatial confines of my studio, so as you can see, folks are chopping it up around me. It's glad to see that the homies are enjoying the program. That's pretty dope. I kind of like this notion, man. There's something to be said about doing your show from a live event and not having to call the game. In the interest of full disclosure, I will not be having any spirited beverages until after we log off because I don't want to violate any FCC rules. Oh, I'm sorry. There are none. But it's crazy how, man, people, when they, the combine starts, it's crazy how people got to get their fix. I mean, I see people who are getting into heated arguments after conversations or interviews by teams at the combine. There are a lot of combine winners that don't help NFL teams win. And we got to be mindful of that, boys and girls. Just because somebody has a high rating don't mean they're going to be that good. Names like Ryan Leaf come to mind. Tony Mandarich, to name a few. So look, you got to take your combine information with salt. It should be also noted that this is a great time when people tell lies to throw reporting off. So I'm glad to see the NFL has found a way to make money on the underwear Olympics, because it has never been, nor will it ever be, a thing of mine to be at the combine to watch dudes in what basically amounts to be male lingerie run up and down, get devalued like steers before they go to slaughter. And I mean, that's where it is to me. Now, again, I got folks who do this stuff for a living. We'll converse with them, and we'll talk more about that the next time we get together for OG Sports Wrap here on the network. Thanks for hanging out. Remember, follow my Substack posts from the CIAA tournament starting tomorrow evening with the games I have here on the network. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to the folks at the CIAA for letting me do my thing. But the next time you hear this voice, it'll be the quarterfinals of the CIAA tournament tomorrow night. From Baltimore at CFG Bank Arena is Professor G. Mark Gray. It's been OG Sports Wrap on the network. Remember, download the mobile app. The lights are off. The bar is closed. Go get yourself some rest. Check me out tomorrow. Deuces from Charm City.
HBCUs, Morgan State, Howard, and ESPN Plus.
In 3, 2, 1. We continue plausibly live, somewhat local, and almost late breaking from the CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore. It's the CIAA tournament. College basketball analyst Jimmy Fly joins us right now. Jimmy, of course, one of the contributors to HBCU sports on ESPN platforms, longtime voice of Morgan State University. And since we are here in Baltimore, home of the national treasure that is Morgan State University, before we get to the CIAA, I got to ask you about my Bears. Can they win a MEAC championship this year?
Oh, they can, and that's Coach Jimmy Fly. That's how they know me on the airways. Most certainly, they handled business. They went on a 6-game win streak, beat Howard at Howard when they were down 10.
National TV game too.
Yeah, we were there on the radio. I did the women's game earlier on ESPN Plus for Howard. But the they left. That was when the snowstorm was hitting. They left immediately after the game to beat the snowstorm, get to Norfolk, and then stole that game at the end. They have offensive firepower, and that's why I say yes to your answer. We're going to find out Saturday at 4 o'clock because Howard is coming up the road to the Hill Field House, man. That place is going to be rocking Saturday.
Baltimore will be rocking on Saturday when it comes to HBCU basketball. You got that Morgan-Howard rivalry, last game of the conference for those teams, right? Because don't they go to the MEAC tournament?
No. Both teams have Coppin and Norfolk State. Morgan, if they win and win out, they'll win the regular season title. They won by 1, so if Howard beats them by more than 1, which
could happen,
would give them the tiebreaker. So, but Morgan has Norfolk coming to them and Coppin, which is a wild card. Coppin is down, but Morgan-Coppin rivalry, you know how that goes.
Yeah, throw out.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Anything can happen. But Howard has to go on the road.
It's like an Irish-Italian wedding.
Yeah.
It's a jump off, you know?
So Monday, Howard has Coppin coming to them. I'll be doing that game for Howard, ESPN Plus. Then they have to travel the last game of the season to Norfolk. And that might be the game where if they can win out, they'll be the MEAC regular season title holder.
That is the voice of Jimmy Fahad, one of America's most colorful college basketball analysts and a MEAC insider. So let's talk a little bit deeper in terms of this year. You know, Howard has sort of become a blue blood. You always keep an eye out for North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State has pretty much been a thorn in the side of everybody come March. So give me your handicap, if you could. How do you break down the entire conference, certainly on the men's side, going into that tournament?
I would say Howard and Morgan State 1A, 1B to be decided. Saturday's going to say who's 1A and 1B. Norfolk State behind them. I think Norfolk State has lost a little bit off their fastball. They're not as deep and talented as they have been. They're beatable. Some years they weren't beatable. Central, unfortunately, I told you their 6'9" big man had a medical issue. They have shut him down. He didn't play against Howard, the game I did last week, and they blitzkrieged them. They scored 100, beat them by 40. I mean, if he'd have played, they'll still lost by 20. But Howard is playing at a different level right now. And then South Carolina State I'd throw in as a wild card just because they have size. But here's the thing. I think it's a 2-horse race with Norfolk State as a team that's capable of winning just because they have the pedigree. Morgan State can get to 80 points offensively. All these other MEAC teams are stuck at around 65.
Even Howard?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying Morgan State and Howard.
Okay.
Those are two teams that can pump 80 on you on a given night. Howard's defense to me is a little higher level than Morgan's, but Morgan, they got this tenacity to them that they do not give up. They've been down double digits, I'd say 7-8 games this year. Came back in all of them. Didn't win them all, but came back, got the lead. Some of them in the preseason they lost, but in the conference they started knocking them down. That's why I give them a puncher's chance on Saturday.
And I don't want to turn this into a Morgan love fest, but when they go 1-4 and you put the guards at the top and let them just break people down, is there any better card combination one-on-one that can break the opposition's defense down as well as Morgan does?
Well, Elijah Davis is playing at a high level, and he was here to see our AA tournament last year playing for Bowie State. So I'm sure that Morgan was here watching and caught wind of him and said, hey, we might be able to use that guy. He's not a three-point shooter. He'll sprinkle one in, but he's a guy that's just going to cross you up and take you to the rack hard, and he doesn't mind contact, getting knocked around. And he's the engine that makes them go. But Worrell, he's a different animal. He's a scorer. He can shoot as well. If he gets hot from that three-point line, he can post a 30-point game. That's why I believe they can hang with Howard offensively. And I'm interested to see how Howard will adjust the defensive game plan from the first go-round to this game on Saturday afternoon at Hill Fieldhouse.
And it's funny how Kevin Broders, who went to Bowie State and is a Bowie State Hall of Famer, plucked one of his guys, and he could be the difference in bringing Morgan MEAC championship.
Oh, yeah. They got tenacity. The only thing, is that Marlon Harris, the big man who's been playing lights out, he was, getting 10, 15 minutes, but they had a lot of injuries to the bigs, which forced him into a starter heavy minute role, and he just blossomed once he got it. He was posting 15, 17, 10, 12 rebound games consistently. He got nicked up. His availability Saturday is up in the air. I don't know what the injury is, but hopefully if he can't play Saturday, he will be available for the MEAC tournament.
Well, that's the most important thing. That load management right now at this point in the season is huge as we continue with Coach Jimmy Fly here live, plausibly, somewhat local, and damn near late breaking from the CIAA tournament here at a house that Kevin Durant built. How about that? Did you know? He is responsible for the new look to your Baltimore, once known as Baltimore Arena. And he also was philanthropic and helping to redo Bowie State's arena.
I didn't realize
so
that.
Man.
I thought this was a house that Led Zeppelin built, because when I came in, I saw a big poster of Led Zeppelin. That was my favorite rock band in the 70s.
This and believe it or not, this is a building that we sat in, I think, in 1970.
The Bullets played it.
Yeah, and it was the home of the NBA All-Star game.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? So
Wes Unseld playing in it? Oh, man.
Yes.
Alvin Hayes.
Lenny Wilkins, I think, was still playing at that time. God rest his soul.
Man, those were good days.
Yeah.
That was real basketball.
That was real basketball. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because there doesn't seem to be, and you were in D.C. earlier this year when the season tipped off at the Blake Bozeman Classic.
Yes.
And we saw a CIAA team in Virginia State knock off a MEAC Division I team in Delaware State. Now that you've had a chance, a few months to digest that, how big a win was that, in your opinion, for not only Virginia State, but the CIAA as a conference?
Well, I thought that was a huge win. To go in there, I was extremely impressed with the head coach for Virginia State. I thought he made some tactical decisions down the stretch of that game.
Yes.
Yeah, that kept them in the lead where they could have coughed it up. But he used timeouts instead of waiting for the media timeout. And I say this on the radio a lot. Don't wait for the media timeout. He called timeouts while he had the lead in the ball. And every time they came out and executed play and extended back to 2 possession that held Delaware State at bay.
It was a great event for a worthy cause, but the talent disparity between those two teams, those two leagues, MEAC and the CIAA, doesn't seem to be that wide. How do you see it from your perspective?
There was 2 players on Virginia State that could pretty much start on any MEAC squad, in my opinion. I can't remember the young man's name. He's a forward that was hitting threes out of his mind and big, rebounded, did everything. Extremely capable. I don't know if he has any time left, but if he did, I would be.
Don't get Kevin Broders any more ideas. You have people blaming me for that down the line. So, as you look at this conference, how many CIAA teams did you get a chance to check out this year?
To be honest, I'm so busy. I saw the Virginia State team. I'm seeing everything firsthand, live, Well, I don't know if you probably
I did. I saw a lot of games. I tell you what, as a coach, I think you will appreciate Julius Hodge, who is the head coach now at Lincoln University and had a 10-year stint in the NBA, played for North Carolina State, runs a really disciplined, controlled half-court offense, but he has athletes that can get up and down the floor, and he is recruiting all over the country, which blows me away. As you look at and it's not like they're not dealing with NIL money or anything like that. But what Curtis Simons told me was that the culture of the HBCU experience right now is playing big, not only here, but overseas. What's your take on that? The atmosphere surrounding the whole HBCU hoop culture.
I did the Yale Howard games, which Yale is probably a tournament team if they can get past Harvard in the Ivy League tournament. But Yale is good. I mean, they had shooters shooting 50% from three. They had a very good team, and I knew that was going to be a heck of a matchup at the Burr. And the coach, accomplished coach, it took a half hour to go through Coach Jones's accomplishments in the Ivy League and everything he's done in basketball.
Now here's a fun fact, just for my audience. When I was writing and doing the first podcast for the Shadow League, about, let's call it 10 years ago, there were I think the Ivy League at that time had more black coaches than any other Division I conference in America. Tommy Amaker was there at the time. Coach Jones was there. And to your point, to underestimate Ivy League basketball is almost blasphemous these days. It's better than just smart kids trying to shoot.
Well, my sources told me that Coach Jones said that the atmosphere was electric in that building. Howard had them down 6 with 2 minutes to go, and they hit 2 threes. A kid from Mount St. Joe, Baltimore, hit a 3 at the buzzer to put it into overtime. But Coach Jones said, I don't know why people don't want to come and play here because the atmosphere is insane.
He said that, and it was one time, I think Tommy Amaker, when he was coaching at, I think it was Harvard, they came down and they played that same too. The atmosphere at the Burr is something else. To me, it's like Cameron Indoor Stadium of HBCU. I don't know what you spend a lot of time over there right now. It's small, it's quaint, it's loud, it's awesome.
And that's why I think this game Saturday at the Hill Fieldhouse, they can hold maybe 1,000 more people. And the fans are going to come out. The people are going to come out from D.C. The Baltimore people coming to support Morgan. And it's for first place in the MEAC, my friend. This is as big as it gets.
So I guess this is going to be the epicenter of the HBCU basketball universe come Saturday. CIAA Men's and Women's Championship, Morgan and Howard in Northeast. If I could split myself, I'd be in 2 places.
Well, if I could, I would too. At Le Mans, Germany, asked me, you want to do the championship of the CIAA? I said, isn't Howard coming to Morgan on Saturday? I said, no, I'll be at the Hill Fieldhouse. You can get somebody else to come down.
My guy, Coach Jimmy Fly, thanks for hanging out with us on OG Sports Rap. Hey, don't let the smooth taste fool you. He's an OG too. And he's rocking the drip. Anyway, stick with us. We got more of what you came here for on the other side. It's OG Sports Rap on Sports Rap Network. Download the mobile app and find your boy at Sports Rap OG on Substack.